All right, Ambitions fans, and look at that. Jeremy's doing an episode review barely 24 hours after the original episode airing. Yeah, look at me. I did go to sleep. If you watched my live stream last night, you know I went to bed around 8. I woke up a little after 4 this morning. Feels good. I just can't believe it's already past noon when I'm recording. This time is flying by, but I did watch Ambitions, Blood on the Dance Floor. Right off the bat, this episode gets a 9 out of 10. Yeah, freaking 9 out of 10. I thought it was fantastic. To be honest, I was a bit disappointed because looking back, I don't recall any Michael Jackson references because the name of the damn episode is Blood on the Dance Floor. Honestly, one of my least favorite Michael Jackson solo albums, but apparently it was one of the best-selling, if not the best-selling remix album ever. I remember reading that in a book. But in any case, yeah, 9 out of 10 I thought was pretty strong. And I will be doing a separate video on this, but according to some sources, they were saying that on the 17th, December 17th, there will be a 2-hour event. Like the last two episodes, episodes 17 and 18 for season 1 would be airing on OWN. But based on the preview for next week, they say next week is when we're getting 2 episodes. But yeah, I don't know. I just know that the 17th is going to be the finale. So we're either getting 2 next week or 2 the week after. Either way, 2 weeks from now, we'll be done with Ambition Season 1. But on to Blood on the Dance Floor. We pretty much have Irene and... What is her name? It begins with a P, okay? Bella's friend, that's the backstabber. They're pretty much recapping the events of Joaquin being kidnapped and how that was not part of Irene's plan. Her plan was to pretty much, I guess you could say, separate Bella and Evan so she would take her son and leave Atlanta. Very similarly how Stephanie got Damien to kind of wedge the gap between Amara and Titus. And this scene pretty much, look, Stephanie is something else with her cackling behind who knows pretty much almost every sexcapade in town and, you know, is causing trouble here and there. But her mom is the OG. Like her mom, I mean, Peters is a threat and everything, but Irene is definitely the craftiest, most calculating character in this series. So, I mean, she's a beast on Saints and Sinners. And I think I mentioned this in a live stream, but when I was at home for Thanksgiving, I know what is it, Bounce TV? They had a marathon. I did watch 5 episodes, and Saints and Sinners is a good show. But basically, she's pissed off at Bella's friend for going rogue, if you will, because even she didn't want to do kidnapping, but Eddie said it was a good idea, and obviously it didn't work out. Now she's paranoid, thinking that Evan and his guys will find her. But Irene is like, you know, let's cut ties here. And, you know, if you even mention the Carlisle name as an association to yours, you will be killed. So she is not playing any games. Then we have Titus and Amara having sex, celebrating Damien no longer being in their lives. Then we switch over to Damien being interrogated. And a lawyer comes in and asks for him to be released immediately. From there, we have... Rashid Calvin from Sisters. He's pretty much a new character who's there to get Stephanie's request for an immediate DNA test on Joaquin. After that, and I know I seem like I'm breezing through this episode, but that's because so much happened during the opening like 7 minutes before the title even came on that, you know, they kind of jumped from scene to scene, but a lot of stuff was getting done. We have Inez and Bella, pretty much another mother-daughter scene. But this time she is pissed off that Bella did not tell her about Joaquin being kidnapped, but Evan knew and her supposed friend knew. And she's just upset that after Senior's death, something like this has just happened. So, you know, they have a little moment there. We have Rondell and Evan talking about Senior not telling them about this debt. And Rondell and Evan are pretty much, you know, well, he was a proud man. But at the same time, you know, they have to deal with the fact that Darcia is there. But on a ironic twist of fate, Senior's death caused a lot of people in the community to sign the petition. So Rondell does have the money, does have the signatures to save the banks. But at the same time, it's like you save it from Peters, but now you have your own family trying to run you over in order to take control of it. Well, she does technically have 2/3 control. So turns out Darcia is moving back in and wants the master bedroom, but then Evan's like, hey, sign this signature and I'll make a call and we can get you to $500,000 right now. But Darcia, after doing some research, is like, no. looking at not only Thelma's place, but the land that I'm now 2/3 owner of, based off Greg Peter and his plans for development, I could be making some real money. So that funky $500,000, you can keep it. So I'm still not a fan of how this thing went down. But at the same time, yeah, if Evan would have signed that check for $500,000, which Darcia was like, $600,000, but $500 sent your family. You could argue that if the check was given to Darcia, if it was cashed, then that means that Senior's will would have been null and void in regards to the 2/3 part of it being Darcia's, because Evan could make the argument that she said we were keeping this between family. I wrote her the check for the interest, and she's gone. So that's one way to look at it. But I think it's a very bad idea for her to get involved with Greg Peters, because that is not going to be a good. I definitely, and I'm not saying I dislike the character. I'm not saying that, but I don't see her living to the end of season 1, if not well into season 2, if she gets involved with Peters. That's all I'm saying there. Then we have the lawyer talk with Stephanie. And remember, at this point, I don't believe they mention his name, but we do figure out what his name is soon. It's Jerry Langan. But in any case, Jerry's talking with Stephanie about the whole Damien situation and how he got him out on bail, but Stephanie wants the charges gone and also needs to keep this between us. What needs to be kept between us? Haha. But he does warn her that she needs to have a good contingency plan. So we find out what that plan is later in the episode. Moving forward, Evan's bodyguard knows Perla, Perla. Perla. Look, some of these Hispanic names are very difficult for me to say, so please excuse me. But he knows that Joaquin was taken by her and Eddie because of photos that show her and Eddie together. And when he was about to bust her, she wanted to get a piece of him. So sexual favor in regards to his mouth staying shut. It's hard to tell, her or Bella. Who would I want? Difficult. So Stephanie's having an interview with a reporter about the Pure 4 emails. I always find it interesting where you see characters who are on camera. Like, you know, she's obviously in front of the reporter and the camera there, but we also know she's being recorded for the show. So yeah, she was holding no punches back. She was going in on Purefoy, and we just got to see what's going to happen there. And as Stephanie said, she's a bit confused why there's been no people lined up outside of Purefoy protesting and whatnot, but we'll see that later in the episode. Amara is confused about the bail and how, you know, Damien got out, and then finds out that Jerry is the lawyer. Daphne's actually brought in by the FBI to talk with Amara about the situation involving Natasha, Greg Peters' cousin, who's tried to kill her multiple times. From there, Titus sees a bunch of dead black kids protesting in the Pure 4 lobby. One of the girls get up and, you know, throws paint at him and then runs away. Darcia is being a bitch to the staff at Thelma's place, pretty much, you know, walking around being a tyrant. Saying everyone's fired, going back and forth with Vanez. I'm not going to lie, I cracked up at some of those one-liners. Broke Rosie Perez, and that was funny. But Rondell brings up the fact that Evan's lawyers are going to try to contest Senior's will, and they pretty much have a standoff until she eventually leaves. So this isn't over yet. And moving forward, we have Bella and Ignacio, who obviously wants a piece of Bella, who is looking fine, but she is showing him her business plan for, you know, Bella True's concession space at the airport. But she wants to speak directly with Valentina because Ignacio brings up the point that without me, you wouldn't even have this contract because my mother isn't big on your designs, but I kind of hype you up. So they pretty much have a moment there. And at first I thought Bella was going to be like, oh, okay, I get it, because we're not having sex anymore. And I want to focus on business rather than pleasure. That's why you're kind of, you know, pushing me to the side. But that really wasn't it. And let me move to page 2 because I got a lot of notes here. We move to Amara and Evan, and Amara has Herschel Walker's, suicide note that his wife gave to her from his computer. And it pretty much condemns both Daphne and both the fact that Evan was involved in these, you know, dealings with Peters. But he plays it off. But it's gotten to the point where Evan knows that he can't, you know, play this poker face forever. Amara's going to come up with something. And right as Amara is going out the door, she meets up with, Jeffrey, the lawyer. And they talk briefly about how Damien made bail, but she kind of suspects Stephanie's involved as soon as she sees Evan and is it Jerry or Jeffrey? My bad. I think I wrote the wrong name down. Jerry, excuse me, Jerry. As soon as she sees them together. Damien gets a call by Stephanie, and I believe the contingency plan comes into play here. And they talk briefly about the fact that, hey, I'm going to give you money for your trip, and you're going to leave Atlanta right away. And it looked like Damien was actually about to go, and I'm thinking, wow, that's a interesting way to end the character arc. But let's see. Rashid comes back with a DNA test to Stephanie, and we'll see the results of that later in the episode. Amara goes to see Damien. She has FBI waiting outside of the door, and pretty much has put two and two together, the fact that Stephanie and Damien are working together, and the fact that the only reason Damien would do this is if Stephanie had dirt on Damien, which we know that she did back in episode 2 or 3. And unfortunately, he's determined to have her no matter what, and we know that Amara's done with him. We get with Evan trying to leave, the office. Daphne approaches him, and he pretty much has gone cold on her, which is kind of sad because, he went to visit her in the hospital saying that I'll always be there for you, but now it's pretty much giving her the cold shoulder, not even addressing her by Daphne, only by her name, first, her title, if you will. And she knows that her allies, if you will not protect her. We have Stephanie and her mom talking. The DNA test results. Evan Lancaster, you are the father, Joaquin, even though I did like my video idea of him not being the father and Bella only using Evan for his connections. But that's not the case. That's the father. Evan goes over to Bella's place, and Perla is there and brings up the fact that, Bella is messing around with Ignacio. That's pretty much the only thing from that scene. Then we go over to Titus and Amara. He's kind of reeling because today at the office, it wasn't people, with the paint, but people throwing pills as, he was going into his workspace. But as he told Lori, he wants to stay at Purifoy for now. But instead of what he told Lori about, there's been some shady things being done here, but at the same time, this company can still do a lot of good. He's telling Amara that he wants to dig deeper. Like, there's some stuff at Purifoy he probably doesn't even know yet that might either turn the tide of this case or make things even worse for Hunter. And Amara, on the other hand, is like, I have a feeling that Stephanie and Damien have been working together. I just need to get the proof of it. So, moving from there, we have Bella and Evan, one of my favorite scenes of the episodes, and he confronts her about the whole, you were messing around with Valentina's son while our son was being kidnapped. And on top of that, Valentina, has dementia, and I'm like, oh, the plot thickens. So basically, when Evan got to call Valentina, that was one of her rare moments of, a clarity where she's speaking clearly, remember things. So it's very unlikely that when Valentina saw your design, she even remembered your name or your design. So in a Cain and Abel kind of fashion, her two sons who have been battling it out for the ownership of the company, Ignacio's the son who got pretty much jack shit, so he can do nothing for you. And then he up and leaves. Then we have Daphne and Amara, who agrees to give information on pretty much drop dime on everyone, so long as her and her husband get protection from the FBI. So we'll have to wait and see if Daphne's able to make it to the end of season 1. And we end things with Damien and Stephanie, who says, 200,000 isn't enough for me to leave town to start my life over. I'm going to stay here. Amara wants me. She told me. And Damien is off his rocker. And it seems to me that Damien actually has Stephanie pretty spooked because of the fact that he left the office with security. And we later find out he left a security camera or a hidden camera like he did in Amara's house, but on the bouquet of flowers in Stephanie's office. So Damien isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And Stephanie make a phone call about how the hell did he get in the office. So she pretty much let a tiger out of the cage that she can no longer control. Really reminds me of when Veronica got Quincy out of jail on the haves and have-nots in order to take care of Candace, but instead Quincy tried a couple of times to take care of her. So this episode overall was really solid. I enjoyed it. We only got 3 more episodes left of the season, but let me know your thoughts. What did you... Oh, I get it. Blood on the dance floor. Well, technically the only time we saw blood in this episode, and correct me if I'm wrong, were when those, black, I want to say either kids or young adults were laying on the lobby floor of Purifoy, and they had the blood on their, clothing, and then threw some on Titus. So Yeah, let me know your thoughts on the episode. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. We are less than 1,500 people away from 100,000. If you are just now getting into Ambitions, I have an entire playlist where I review. I think I reviewed every episode. I know for a while I missed like maybe episode 3 or 4, but I did watch them. I just didn't review them. So yeah, make sure you let me know. Do you agree with my score of a 9 out of 10? What was your favorite moment? Check me out on social media. Links are in the description below, and I'll talk to you all later.